Manic Street Preachers and Motorcycle Emptiness, and we revealed here on Six Music earlier this week that the new Manics album, which is out tomorrow, is being dispatched to some supermarkets in a plain slip case as the artwork has been deemed potentially offensive. Journal for Plague Lovers features a portrait of a young girl by Brit artist and Saatchi favourite Jenny Saville, who also provided the cover for their 1994 album, The Holy Bible. Now, some people have said the face in the picture looks like it's splattered with blood, but Manics frontman James Dean Bradfield told Six Music's Lucio Doherty he thinks they're just reading too much into it.
We just saw a much more modern version of kind of like Freud-esque brushstrokes. That's all we saw. And then as soon as other people started seeing it, they were like, wow, so it's a young boy. This kind of looks like he's been beaten up. I was like, shut up, don't be daft. And then the next time I looked at it, I was like, well, perhaps you're right. You know, perhaps there is blood on the one side of the face. But number one, it's not a young boy, it's a young girl. And number two, I think Jenny Saville actually said that it's not meant to be blood. Perhaps people are looking for us to be a bit too more provocative than we actually are being. You know, we just thought it was a beautiful painting. And we thought, you know, it kind of seemed to sum up some kind of innocence with a hint of menace. That's just what it meant to us, really.
So is there any resolution to that? Is it just not going to be stocked in certain?
I think it's going to have to have some kind of protective sleeve on it in a supermarket, so people don't get disturbed. You can have you know, just lovely shiny buttocks and guns everywhere in a supermarket and kind of covers of magazines and CDs, but you show a piece of art and just people freak out.
Now, Asda is one of the shops using the slip cover. They told Six Music they just wanted to be extra cautious in case it does upset some customers. Tesco, Morrison's and Sainsbury's have also decided not to display the original artwork, with Sainsbury's telling us,
"We felt that some customers might consider this particular album cover to be inappropriate if it were prominently displayed on shelf."
The album, of course, uses lyrics written by former bandmate Richey Edwards, who went missing 14 years ago. And we've got an in-depth interview with frontman James Dean Bradfield about that later in the show. HMV, the last remaining high street music retailer in the UK, are still stocking the record in its original form. And their spokesman, Gennaro Castaldo, criticised the supermarkets for hiding the album cover.
Well, I just don't see how it supports the creative process. You know, you're actually trying to sort of shoehorn something just to sort of make it fit the needs of the retailer instead of actually expressing what the artist wants to be able to say, and it gets in the way of the connection between the artist and the fan, and retail shouldn't try to sort of get in the way of that. Yeah, I just think it's something that we should be a little bit concerned about, and ultimately I don't even see what's wrong with that particular kind of cover, really. It didn't even occur to us that anybody would have an issue, as I say.
BBC. Now, it's 14 years since Richey Edwards disappeared, and tomorrow the remaining Manic Street Preachers release the album they made by recording his final lyrics. Earlier this hour, we told you about the records being dispatched to some supermarkets in a plain slipcover, as the artwork has been deemed potentially offensive. But the real controversy could be seen as the content of the album itself. Following the huge commercial success of This Is Your Truth, which sold 4 million copies, the move to revisit Richey's lyrics could be seen as risky. But as James Dean Bradfield, whose idea it was to use them, told Six Music's Lucio Doherty, it meant he got to work with Richey again.
When Richey first gave those lyrics to myself, Nick and Sean, I didn't quite connect with them, first of all. And subsequently, down the years, since his disappearance, you know, I've taken them out of the drawer once a year. And then in 2007 is when I just couldn't stop turning the pages, and I just kept having ideas. It's just logical. You had to let this much time elapse to actually know how you felt about it. And the sense of responsibility, you know, you've got to assume that he left us these lyrics at a timely moment. He wanted something to be done with them.
So you've got a book with 30 plus lyrics, and how do you decide which ones are going to make an album?
You know, we set ourselves one rule, and that was that the lyrics had to guide us in every fashion. In the past, you know, Richey would be around to clarify references in the lyrics which I didn't quite get. So kind of that's the only difference. I didn't have that chance to ask him something. So therefore we just had to let the lyrics guide us, and if you got an idea when you sat down with the lyric and they just came, it was a song. It really was as simple as that. We had to feel as if there was some kind of organic process, because of course it's a bit of a time capsule angle to the lyrics. They were written, you know, perhaps 94, 95, they're written on a typewriter. It was all pre the digital age. So we just felt as if we had to keep some kind of purity. So therefore, anything that happened spontaneously was right.
Now, a lot of people are talking about this album and how it relates to the Holy Bible. That's an intentional thing, presumably, that you've decided to draw the parallels.
Nick and Richey always had that kind of... The only way I can describe it is they had a duty to symmetry. The band had to have, like, me, the utilitarian ditch digger in the middle, and the two glamorous wingers on either side. And so therefore, when we came to do this record, Nick immediately just felt that sense of just trying to get things balanced again. And the only way to do that was to get Jenny Saville to donate one of her paintings for the cover of the record. And you just can't deny something like Jenny Saville's painting just somehow tapped into the music. So we knew that Richey loved her work, so therefore it's easier to imagine that Jenny Saville's painting on the cover of this record would please him.
How do you see musical similarities and musical differences between the two albums?
The one thing that's concurrent through all those songs on the Holy Bible is it's anger quickly morphing into disgust and pure rage. And the lyrics he immediately wrote after the Holy Bible, for me, were very much more serene and very much more resolved, resigned and doubtful. And I think that's reflected in the music on the record sometimes. In fact, the one song that actually is very reminiscent of the Holy Bible that we did ended up being the secret track. I think we were very wary of creating a Holy Bible pastiche.
So when you were recording this album, did any songs stand out? Were there moments that were very hard and very emotional to make?
Oh, we're such... In many senses, we're such traditional, curmudgeonly, kind of like working class boys from the valleys. So I don't know if we believe in any notions of closure, catharsis, or any of those things. That's not the reason why we did this record. We didn't do it to say goodbye or to get closure or any of those things. But I think there was perhaps one or two moments in the studio where I felt some kind of emotion rising. You have a vague sense of loss sometimes when you're singing somebody else's lyrics, especially a lyric like William's Last Words, and that's the last song on the album, which Nick sings.
Isn't it lovely when the dawn brings the dew? I'll be watching over you.
You get a vague notion of the person that you miss now, I suppose. That was the only slight little hurdle sometimes. I must say, the overriding emotion we had in the studio was it was great to actually just be singing such lyrics as pretension, repulsion, and peeled apples. There are words in there which are amazing. A dwarf takes a cockerel into the cockfight, falcons attack the pigeons in the West Wing at night. I was just thinking, wow, I never thought I'd get this chance to actually make an album with Richey again.
Wake up happy, wake up